You wake up. The sky is calm. No thunder of wings overhead. No sparks of flame at the horizon. Dragons are gone. It's quiet in a way that feels wrong, like someone pressed mute on something we didn't even realize sounded. But the silence is only the beginning. Before their extinction, dragons were woven into everything: the landscape, the food chain, the way people argued, the way they worshipped, the way they feared the night. Dragons were apex predators, yes, not just mythic beasts, but forces that shaped ecology. They kept certain populations in check. Their roars echoed over mountain passes, shaking stone. Their flame baked the earth, making certain soils richer. Their nests shaped microclimates, and humans built their lives around dragons. You made castles strong not just to look grand, but to withstand claws and fire. You said prayers at dragon altars. You traded dragon bones and scales, weaving them into armor or art. Then, something irreversible. Dragons vanished. Maybe a plague, maybe sustained overhunting, maybe climate shifted so drastically that mountain nesting grounds collapsed, or the magic that held them waned. Whatever the cause, extinction isn't quick. It's a sharp edge that slices through the small gears of life first. The day after the last dragon falls silent, change ripples immediately. Without a top predator, prey species that dragons hunted, giant herbivores, flying reptiles, maybe creatures we don't even have names for, swell in number. Forest grazers multiply, strip saplings, let young trees die. Meadows once kept trimmed by dragon-feeding habits grow wild, then choking. Plants that survived in the balance with dragon fire are now overwhelmed. Shade-loving species shrink. Smaller predators, once kept in check by dragons, creep into new territories. Mesopredators, wolves, big cats, large raptors find themselves freed from competition, even danger. They spread. With their increase, prey species for them drop fast. Without dragons to prey on those mesopredators, the whole web rewires itself. This is something ecologists warn about today when top predators decline, a mesopredator release effect. Waterways shift too. Think of rivers that ran near dragon nests, warmed by radiant heat or redirected by nesting grounds. Thermal springs, volcanic vents, lands that were scorched by dragon's flame now cool. Aquatic life accustomed to certain heat zones finds refuge, or starves. In colder regions, snow that once melted rapidly because of heat from dragon activity accumulates differently, altering seasonal floods. Wetlands may expand in some places, dry out in others. Lakes that had periodic scorching recover some biodiversity, but exotic species may invade. The climate doesn't flip overnight, but over decades you see warming or cooling patterns where dragons were a regulator in unexpected ways. Their nesting grounds in volcanic rise zones or high peaks helped release subterranean heat. Their movement across the land broke up ice or scarred volcanic rock, which affected albedo. Without them, there are feedback loops we didn't expect. Human societies reel from the sudden absence. Dragons were more than beasts, they were economic engines. Imagine places where dragon hides were traded, dragon blood used in medicine or ritual, dragon bones carved into relics of power. Entire guilds collapse. The blacksmiths who made dragon-scale armor lose their clients. The priests who offered sacrifices lose relevance. Markets dry up. Villages that farmed near dragon nesting grounds, placing offerings, sustaining dragon-tame cultures, decline or shift focus. People migrate away from places that become dangerous or that lose their mythic status. Cultural memory warps. Parents tell children about dragons like dreams, half glimpse, half warning. Myths that celebrated draconic deeds shift into cautionary tales. Literature, art, music, all recount what dragons were, sometimes glorified, sometimes blamed. Dragons that once symbolized strength, wrath, wisdom, danger, all that multiplies in metaphor when the real ones are gone. Over decades and centuries, the human world quietly remaps itself in the absence of dragons. Architecture, once designed with survival in mind, loosens its defenses. Builders no longer worry about flame searing rooftops or talons tearing through gates. Walls that once had to withstand assaults from the sky become decorative, symbols of heritage rather than shields of necessity. Roofs are built lighter, more open to the air, and city skylines reach higher, no longer afraid of drawing a dragon's gaze. Entire settlements grow into old dragon nests, the hollowed remains of once feared lairs now turned into museums, amphitheaters, or bustling marketplaces. Tourism flourishes on this fascination, with dragon myth tours leading visitors into fossil caves, ash valleys, and rumored nesting sites. Shops thrive on replicas, dragon claws in polished wood, scales sculpted from stone, jewelry modeled after the fire-breathing giants. A few relics are genuine, carefully preserved, though most are imaginative tributes. Ecology continues to shift in ways both subtle and dramatic. Without dragons, biodiversity may suffer in some corners of the world, even as it adapts in others. Species that had evolved to live specifically in dragon-heated soils or near nesting grounds vanish, unable to survive without the fire and ash that once sustained them. At the same time, new plants and animals rise to fill the empty space. Ecosystems that had relied on dragon fire, the blackened soils that birthed quick-sprouting flowers, the heat-loving fungi and insects, the hardy plants that only emerged after a burn, gradually fade. But nature is rarely static. Over decades, other organisms move in, mutate, or migrate, taking over the niches left behind. Landscapes shift as well. In places where dragons once soared above tree lines, alpine plants spread downward unchecked, reclaiming rocky slopes and colonizing new terrain. Caverns where dragons hibernated or nested, vast spaces once pulsing with heat and danger, become sanctuaries for bats, fungi, blind insects, and strange species adapted to darkness. Forest floors that had been smothered in layers of ash are now enriched, their soils deep and fertile. Trees with long roots, which had clung on through centuries of fire, suddenly flourish and spread. Rivers once diverted or evaporated under the weight of dragon activity find their old paths again, carving new wetlands, feeding meadows, and creating fresh habitats. The world doesn't simply collapse, it rearranges, reshapes, and in time becomes something entirely new. Centuries on, a new normal settles in. It might not be a world equal to what was lost, but it is a world sculpted by absence. Humans adapt in the ways they always do. We build myth museums where bones and old scales are put behind glass. We teach students and curious travelers about the beasts that once ruled the skies. And we excavate caves hoping for a fragment of truth hidden in stone. Some still wander into the wilderness, chasing rumors of an unhatched egg or whispering tales of a lone dragon slumbering beneath some forgotten mountain. But for most, dragons exist only in stories, in art that tries to capture what no one living has ever seen, and in faint echoes locked inside the DNA of creatures that share fragments of their lineage. And yet, the questions never stop. Did humanity lose something vital when dragons disappeared? Was the thrill of danger more meaningful than the calm of safety? Did magic drain out of the world because the magic keepers were gone? In this quieter world, some argue we gained freedom, stability, and time to grow. But many also feel that without dragons, we traded away a kind of wonder that cannot be replaced. It's the paradox of progress. Safer, yes, but perhaps smaller in spirit. In the end, when the dust settled, the sky cleared of smoke and flame, the stories remained. And maybe that's the human thing. Even when something vast disappears, we carry its echo, because what's gone informs what's built. If you like traveling through this dragon-free dawn, drop your thoughts below. What would you miss most if dragons vanished, and what might you welcome? If this world intrigued you, share it so more people can imagine what's lost, what's changed, and what lingers.